Why you must listen to this message before it's too late. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Now ask yourself, how many hours of your life have been lost inside your mind? How many times have you replayed a conversation that has already happened? How many times have you analyzed someone's words, looking for a hidden meaning? You lay awake at night, thinking about people who are not thinking about you. You check your phone repeatedly, waiting for a message that never comes. Your mind spins in circles, and the worst part? None of this changes reality. But still, you hold on. You hold on to pain, to resentment, to the illusion that if you think hard enough, you can control life. Now, imagine something different. Imagine waking up one day without that burden. Imagine feeling free from the endless chatter of your mind. Imagine finding true inner peace, where thoughts no longer control you, where you are no longer at war with yourself. This is not just a fantasy. This is possible. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes not from the outside world, but from within. It is our attachment to thoughts, to expectations, to the past and future that keeps us trapped. But here's the truth. You can let go. You can escape this mental prison. In the next few minutes, we are going to explore some of the most profound Buddhist teachings, truths that will change the way you see your life forever. But first, I want you to imagine a story, the unseen chains we carry. There was once a man walking through a forest. He was tired, weak, and struggling under the weight of a massive sack on his back. A wise old monk appeared before him and asked, "What are you carrying?" The man replied, "These are my burdens, my regrets, my worries, my fears. I carry them because I must." The monk smiled gently and said, "But who told you that you must?" The man was silent. He had never thought about it before. He had carried his burdens for so long that he simply assumed he had no choice. The monk continued, "What if you simply put them down?" The man hesitated. Seemed too easy, too simple. But slowly, he lifted the sack from his shoulders and let it fall to the ground. At that moment, something miraculous happened. The weight disappeared. The exhaustion faded. And for the first time in years, he felt light, free, and at peace. The question is, when will you put your burdens down? Because the truth is, most of us are that man. We carry so much mental weight, not because we have to, but because we think we have to. But right here, right now, you have a choice. You can continue clinging to your past, your overthinking, your need for control, or you can do what the Buddha taught. Let go. And if you truly listen, if you allow these teachings to sink into your heart, this could be the moment that changes everything for you. Why do we overthink? Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, your mind replaying a conversation that happened days ago? Maybe it was a message left on read, a text that never got a response, or a simple look someone gave you that felt off. You keep dissecting every word, every pause, every possible hidden meaning. Did I say something wrong? Were they upset? Are they ignoring me on purpose? And as these thoughts swirl in your mind, your body tenses, your chest tightens, your heart races. This is overthinking, an exhausting mental loop that keeps us trapped in a cycle of doubt, fear, and anxiety. And yet, we do it all the time. But why? The illusion of certainty. At its core, overthinking is a desperate attempt to gain control over the uncontrollable. We overanalyze conversations because we want to predict how people feel about us. We dwell on past mistakes because we want to prevent future regrets. We worry about things that might happen because we think that, somehow, preparing for every possibility will protect us from pain. But here's the hard truth. Life is uncertain, and it always will be. No matter how much you think, plan, or anticipate, you will never control everything. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment, not just to people or possessions, but to ideas and outcomes. When we overthink, we are clinging to an imagined reality, one where we can figure everything out if we just think hard enough. But that's a lie. Overthinking doesn't bring us clarity, it creates more confusion. Imagine standing in front of a pond. If the water is still, you can see your reflection clearly. But if you keep poking at it, trying to make the image sharper, all you get is ripples and distortion. Your mind works the same way. The more you overthink, the harder it is to see the truth. the heavy backpack we refuse to put down. Overthinking is like carrying an invisible backpack, a bag filled with worries, fears, and what-ifs. The more you replay old conversations, the heavier it gets. The more you try to predict the future, the more weight you add. And yet, we rarely stop to ask ourselves, do I have to carry this? Think about it. If you were on a long journey and realized your backpack was filled with rocks you didn't need, wouldn't you drop them? Then why do we keep holding on to thoughts that do nothing but weigh us down? The answer is simple. We believe our thoughts are important. But are they? Let's be honest. How many times have you worried endlessly about something, only to realize later that it didn't even matter? That text you obsessed over? The other person wasn't even thinking about it. That embarrassing moment that kept you up at night? No one remembers it but you. That decision you stressed over for weeks? Life moved on, and so did you. So why do we do this to ourselves? The fear beneath the overthinking. The real reason we overthink isn't because we care too much. It's because we are afraid. Afraid of being judged. Afraid of making the wrong choice. Afraid of losing people. Afraid of regret. And fear, when left unchecked, becomes a prison of our own making. We start believing that if we replay every situation enough times, we can fix it. If we think through every possibility, we can avoid pain. But the truth is, pain is a part of life. No amount of thinking will ever make you immune to suffering. Buddhism's answer: letting go of the mind's grip. Buddhism doesn't tell us to stop thinking. That's impossible. Instead, it teaches us to change our relationship with our thoughts. Imagine you're sitting by a river. Leaves are floating downstream. Each leaf represents a thought. Most of us do the same thing. We reach out and grab each thought. We analyze it, hold on to it, turn it over in our hands. But what if instead we just watched? What if we let the thoughts drift by without clinging to them? This is mindfulness, the practice of observing thoughts instead of being controlled by them. Instead of thinking, why did they say that to me? Try asking, why am I so attached to this thought? Instead of, what if I fail? Ask yourself, what if I let go of my fear and just try? Instead of, do they like me? Shift to, do I even like the person I'm so worried about? This small shift in perspective can change everything. A story to remember: the man in the flood. There's an old Buddhist parable about a man caught in a flood. The waters were rising, so he prayed for divine help. A boat came by and the captain said, "Get in." The man shook his head. "No, I'm waiting for a sign from the heavens." The waters rose higher. Another boat came. "Get in," the people urged. Again, the man refused. "I have faith," he said. Finally, the water swallowed him. When he reached the afterlife, he asked, "Why didn't you save me?" The heavens replied, "We sent you 2 boats. Why didn't you get in?" This is what we do when we overthink. We ask for peace, for clarity, for freedom. But when the answers come, when life tells us to let go, to trust, to move forward, we refuse. We keep waiting for a perfect solution, a guarantee that everything will be okay. But the truth is, peace isn't something that comes later. It's something you choose now. The question you need to ask yourself. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you catch yourself trapped in overthinking, stop and ask, what would happen if I just let this go? What if you chose to believe that things will work out, even if you don't have all the answers? What if you accepted that some things are beyond your control and that's okay? What if you trusted that life has its own rhythm and you don't have to fight against it? The Buddha taught that suffering comes not from life itself, but from our resistance to life. So maybe, just maybe, the path to peace isn't in thinking harder, analyzing more, or finding all the right answers. Maybe it's in the simple act of releasing, of trusting, of letting go. Because at the end of the day, life is like a river. The water flows whether you cling to the shore or let yourself float. The choice is yours. Are you ready to let go? Attachment, the root of suffering. Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." That one sentence alone holds the power to change your entire outlook on life if you let it. But here's the thing, letting go is not something we, as humans, do naturally. We cling, we grasp, We hold on so tightly, convinced that if we just try a little harder, love a little more, work a little longer, we can make things turn out the way we want. And yet, despite all of our effort, despite the exhausting mental gymnastics we put ourselves through, we suffer. Not because life is cruel, not because the universe is against us, but because we refuse to let go. The rope that burns. Imagine you're holding onto a thick rope, pulling as hard as you can. You're gripping it because you believe it's keeping you safe, keeping you anchored, keeping you in control. Now, imagine someone on the other end is pulling too. Harder and harder. You don't want to lose, so you keep holding on even as the rope digs into your hands, even as your skin starts to tear. But what happens the moment you let go? The pain stops. It wasn't the rope itself that hurt you. It was your refusal to release it. This is what attachment does to us. It convinces us that if we just hold on a little tighter to people, to ideas, to expectations, then we will be happy. But the opposite is true. The tighter we hold, the more we suffer. Attachment isn't just about things, it's about people, too. We often think of attachment as being about material things, our cars, our homes, our possessions. But the deepest attachments are not to things, but to people and ideas. We attach ourselves to how we believe someone should act. We attach ourselves to how we expect a relationship to unfold. We attach ourselves to how we think life should go. And when reality doesn't match our expectations, we suffer. Think about the last time someone disappointed you. Was it because of what they did? Or was it because they didn't do what you expected them to do? Think about the last time life didn't go your way. Was it because of what actually happened? Or was it because you were attached to a different outcome? The pain we feel is rarely about the event itself. It's about the gap between what we wanted to happen and what actually did. But here's where it gets tricky. We mistake attachment for love. We believe that holding on to someone tightly means we love them. We believe that obsessing over a relationship means we care. But love and attachment are not the same thing. Love is light, free, and peaceful. Attachment is heavy, suffocating, and fearful. Love says, I want the best for you. Attachment says, I need you to be a certain way for me to be happy. One leads to peace. The other leads to suffering. The two monks and the woman. There's a well-known Zen story about two monks traveling together. Along the way, they came across a river where a woman stood hesitating, unable to cross. Without a second thought, the older monk lifted her into his arms and carried her across. Hours later, as they continued walking, the younger monk, who had been silent the entire time, finally spoke. We are monks, he said. We are not supposed to touch women. Why did you carry her? The older monk smiled and said, I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her? How many times have you done the same thing? How many times have you carried something long after you should have put it down? A past mistake. A relationship that ended. A conversation that didn't go the way you wanted. We do this all the time, carrying the weight of our attachments, our resentments, our regrets, even when they are no longer serving us. And what does that weight do? It makes us heavy. It makes us tired. It steals our peace. The past is gone. The only place it exists is in your mind. So why are you still carrying it? Attachment versus acceptance. The truth is, life is never going to go exactly the way you want it to. People will change. Relationships will shift. Situations will not always turn out as planned. And you have two choices. You can resist reality, cling to your expectations, and suffer. Or you can accept life as it is, embrace impermanence, and be free. Acceptance does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you stop loving. It simply means you stop demanding that life be different than it is. Imagine you're standing in the ocean and a giant wave is coming toward you. If you fight against it, resist it, try to push it back, you'll get knocked down. But if you dive into it, move with it instead of against it, you'll rise above the water unharmed. Life is the same way. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to resist everything that doesn't go your way. You can simply let go and trust that whatever happens, you will be okay. How to begin letting go? Recognize what you're holding on to. Ask yourself, what expectations am I clinging to? Is it a relationship? A dream? An idea of how someone should behave? Ask yourself if it's helping or hurting. Is holding on to this bringing you peace? Or is it only making you suffer? 1. 2. Practice the art of allowing. Let people be who they are, not who you want them to be. Let life unfold as it is meant to. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be. Shift your perspective. Instead of thinking, I lost something, think, maybe this is making space for something better. Breathe and release. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, imagine releasing all the expectations, all the resistance, all the attachment. And remind yourself, you only lose what you cling to. A final thought. So, I'll ask you now. What is something you've been holding on to for too long? And what would happen if, just for today, you decided to let it go? Would you feel lighter? Would you feel freer? Would you finally be at peace? The answer, my friend, is waiting for you. All you have to do is release the rope, the illusion of control. Let's be honest. We all want life to go our way. We want people to behave the way we expect them to. We want our plans to unfold exactly as we imagined. We want to control the outcome, predict the future, and eliminate uncertainty. And when life doesn't cooperate, when people act unpredictably, when plans fall apart, when the universe throws us a curveball, we feel frustrated, anxious, even angry. Why? Because we've bought into one of the greatest illusions of all, the illusion of control. The silent war we fight every day. Most of us don't even realize how much we try to control life. It's subtle. It's woven into the fabric of our daily thoughts and behaviors. We stress over what people think of us as if we could control their perceptions. We obsess over what will happen tomorrow as if worrying about it now will change anything. We replay conversations searching for hidden meanings as if we could rewrite history. We plan, strategize, analyze every little detail, believing that if we just think hard enough, we can control the outcome. But let's take a step back. Think about the last time something in your life didn't go as planned. Maybe a job opportunity fell through. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe you had a perfect vision for your future only to watch it crumble before your eyes. In that moment, it felt devastating. But now, looking back, didn't life somehow continue? Didn't new doors open? Didn't you adapt, survive, even grow from the experience? That's the thing about life. It moves with or without our permission. And the more we try to fight against it, the more we suffer. You can't even control yourself, so why try controlling life? Here's a humbling truth. You don't even fully control yourself, let alone the world around you. Think about it. Can you control every thought that enters your mind? Can you stop yourself from feeling sadness, anger, or fear when those emotions arise? Can you prevent your body from aging, from getting sick, from needing rest? We like to believe we are in charge, but even our own minds and bodies operate beyond our control. If you don't even have full authority over your own existence, why spend so much energy trying to control the uncontrollable? The sand in your hand. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you grip it too tightly, trying to hold onto every single grain, what happens? It slips through your fingers. The more you squeeze, the faster it falls away. But if you open your hand, allowing the sand to rest gently in your palm, it stays. This is life. The more you cling, the more you struggle. The more you try to force people, circumstances, and outcomes into a mold of your making, the more suffering you create for yourself. But the moment you surrender, when you loosen your grip, stop resisting, stop forcing, the tension dissolves. And you realize you never needed control to begin with. The Buddhist perspective, accept, don't resist. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when we resist what is. Life is always changing. People are unpredictable. Plans go astray. Nothing is guaranteed. The mistake we make is believing that if we try hard enough, we can make life conform to our expectations. But peace doesn't come from controlling the storm. It comes from learning how to sail through it. Instead of thinking, how can I control this? Ask, how can I flow with it? Instead of saying, this shouldn't be happening, ask, what is this moment teaching me? The world is not something you have to dominate. It is something you can learn to move with. How to practice letting go. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means releasing mental resistance to things that are beyond your control. So how do you start? 1. Observe your thoughts without reacting. Your mind will try to convince you that you must figure everything out, that you must replay conversations, that you must stress over what someone thinks of you, that you must worry about tomorrow. But is that true? Next time you catch yourself spiraling into overthinking, step back and ask, is this thought helping me, or is it making me suffer? If it's the latter, let it go. You don't have to force it away. Just observe it. Watch it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky, because that's all thoughts really are, clouds. Temporary, always changing, never worth clinging to. 2. Focus on the present moment. Most of our suffering exists either in the past, what happened, or the future, what might happen. But the only thing that is real is this moment. Try this. Take a deep breath. Feel the air enter your lungs. Look around. Notice the colors, the textures, the sounds. Feel your body, your heartbeat, your presence in this space. Every time you bring yourself back to right now, overthinking loses its power. 3. Trust life's natural flow. Have you ever noticed that when you stop chasing, things often come to you? When you stop obsessing over a relationship, the other person reaches out. When you stop stressing over a decision, the right answer reveals itself. When you stop fearing failure, you take bold action, and things start working out. This is the power of non-attachment. When you release control, you allow life to unfold as it is meant to. Imagine floating in the ocean. If you fight against the waves, you exhaust yourself. If you panic, you sink. But if you relax and trust the water to carry you, you stay afloat. Life is the same. The more you trust it, the more it supports you. A story to remember: the man and the river. A man was caught in a raging river. The current was strong, and he was drowning. Frantically, he thrashed against the water, trying to fight his way back to shore. But the harder he struggled, the more exhausted he became. Just when he thought he was about to drown, an old fisherman called out from the riverbank, "Stop fighting the current. Let the river carry you." Desperate, the man did as he was told. He let go, and just like that, the water lifted him, gently carrying him downstream, right to safety. This is what life does when we stop fighting it. The choice is yours. So here's my question for you. What are you currently trying to control that is beyond your power? A relationship? A situation? The way someone sees you? What would happen if, just for today, you let go? What if you stopped forcing things to happen and allowed them to unfold naturally? Would you feel lighter? Would you feel more at peace? Would you finally understand that you never needed control to be happy? The river is always flowing. You don't have to fight it. You just have to trust that it's leading you exactly where you're meant to go. Final lesson: love without attachment. Love is one of the most profound and beautiful experiences we can have in this life. It is the thread that connects us, the force that moves us, the reason we wake up each day hoping, searching, longing. But love is also the source of some of our deepest suffering. Why? Because too often, what we call love is actually attachment. We think that to love someone means to hold on, to protect, to keep them close. We think that if we love deeply, we must need the person, depend on them, make them ours. And yet, true love is not about possession. It is about freedom. Attachment versus love. Understanding the difference. Many of us fear that if we stop thinking about someone constantly, if we let go of our expectations, it means we don't care. But that's not love. That's clinging. Attachment says, "I need you to be happy." Love says, "I want you to be happy, even if it's not with me." Attachment is full of fear. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of change. It wants to control the outcome, to shape the person into what we want them to be. Love, on the other hand, is light and free. It does not hold, does not demand, does not suffocate. It allows people to be who they are, to grow, to change. Have you ever held sand in your hand? If you squeeze it too tightly, trying to keep it from slipping away, it falls through your fingers. But if you hold it gently with an open palm, it stays. This is love. If you grip too tightly, if you try to own, control, or demand, you lose the very thing you are trying to protect. But if you hold lightly, with trust and acceptance, love stays. The fear of letting go. The idea of love without attachment can be terrifying. We often think, if I let go, won't they forget me? If I don't hold on, won't they leave? If I stop trying, does that mean I don't care? But think about this. Have you ever chased after something so hard that you actually pushed it away? Have you ever held onto someone so tightly that they felt trapped? Love thrives in space. It cannot breathe when suffocated by fear and expectation. Think of the relationships in your life. The ones where you felt the most loved, the most at peace, the most free. Weren't they the ones where you didn't feel pressured? Where you could be yourself without fear? And the ones that caused the most pain, weren't they filled with need, control, and expectation? Love does not hurt. Attachment does. A story to remember. The butterfly and the boy. There was once a boy who found a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. He watched as it fought, its fragile wings pushing, trying to break free. Wanting to help, the boy gently pulled the cocoon open. But something was wrong. Instead of flying, the butterfly was weak. Its wings had not developed the strength needed to carry it. What the boy didn't know was that the struggle was necessary. It was the very act of fighting to break free that made the butterfly strong enough to fly. And in his desire to help, he had taken away the one thing it needed the most, its own journey. Love is the same. We think that if we protect, if we fix, if we hold on tightly, we are loving. But real love allows others to grow, to struggle, to become who they are meant to be. Not by saving them, not by controlling them, but by trusting them. What love without attachment looks like. So what does it actually mean to love without attachment? It means supporting someone without trying to change them, appreciating every moment together without fearing the future, letting them make their own choices even if you don't agree, accepting that people come and go, and that's okay, understanding that love is not about possession, it's about connection. It means looking at the person you love and saying, I choose to love you as you are, without needing you to be anything else. I want you to be happy, even if it means you are not with me. I will not hold you back from your path, even if it leads you away from me. This is not weakness. This is the strongest, purest love there is. Why letting go is the path to peace. If you have spent your life overthinking about someone, wondering if they care, trying to control the situation, take a moment to breathe. Ask yourself, am I gripping this like a closed fist, or am I holding it gently, like water in my hands? Holding tightly only creates pain. Letting go creates peace. Letting go does not mean you stop loving. It means you love without fear, without the fear of losing, without the fear of change, without the fear of not being enough. Because love that is built on fear is not love. It is attachment. And love that is built on freedom, that is the kind of love that lasts forever. A final thought. If you have spent your life believing that love means holding on, I invite you to try something different. Just for a day. Try loving without expectation. Try trusting without fear. Try appreciating someone for who they are, not for who you want them to be. And notice how it feels. Do you feel lighter? Do you feel freer? Do you feel, perhaps for the first time, what love is truly supposed to be? Because the door to peace has always been open. You just have to walk through it. Are you ready to take the first step to freedom? Now, let's take a deep breath together. Inhale, hold, exhale. In this exact moment, right now, you are free. There is no past to regret. There is no future to fear. There is only this moment. But the mind is tricky. It will try to pull you back. It will whisper, what if they don't like me? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? And that's when you must remember this truth. Thoughts are not reality. They are just clouds passing through the sky of your mind. Some are dark, some are light, but none of them define you. So the next time you find yourself trapped in overthinking, I want you to ask yourself, am I carrying something that I don't need to? Is this thought helping me? Or is it making me suffer? What would happen if I simply let go? If you truly listen to these questions, you will feel something shift inside you. You will begin to realize that you were never truly trapped. You were just holding on too tightly. And the moment you release your grip, you will taste real freedom for the first time. A final story. The bird and the cage. Imagine a bird trapped in a cage. It has spent its entire life believing that the cage is its home. One day, the cage door is opened. But do you know what happens? The bird does not leave. It stays inside, afraid of the open sky, because it has been trapped for so long that it has forgotten how to fly. Many of us are like that bird. The cage is open. Freedom is available to us right now, but we hesitate, afraid of the unknown, afraid to let go of what we know, even if what we know is suffering. But you were meant to fly. You were meant to be light, free, and at peace. So take a deep breath, spread your wings, and step into the open sky. Because your true nature is not suffering, not fear, not attachment. Your true nature is peace. Your next step, a new way of living. If these words have resonated with you, I invite you to do one thing right now. Take action. Don't just listen to this lesson. Practice it. Don't just understand it intellectually. Live it. Don't just keep overthinking. Let go. And if you want to continue this journey, If you want to go deeper into the wisdom of Buddhism and discover even greater truths about life, then subscribe to Lotus Light Teachings, because this is just the beginning. Together, we will explore the profound wisdom of the Buddha, the lessons that have transformed millions of lives for thousands of years. And maybe, just maybe, your life is the next to be transformed. Thank you for being here. Now go and live with peace. Like this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe for more life-changing Buddhist wisdom. Comment below. What is one thing you are ready to let go of today? Let's walk this path together. May you be happy. May you be free. May you be at peace.